Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Everything Horror Podcast. My name is Paul Doski, and today we're bringing back, well, you might know her familiar voice from back when we used to do the all female podcast.
hmm
And she used to do stuff for the DK Mag before DK Mag kind of died down a little bit. And Ken started up R2 Fitness. But anyway, let's get her on board. Could we have something cool to talk about? And I definitely want to know more about this. Anyway, I want you all to re-welcome Ali Abreu. Ali, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. So glad to be back. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And you know, we haven't talked, or at least Tessa hasn't talked with you, and I haven't really talked to you in the longest time because,
Yeah.
well, let's be honest, the world went to shit, and everything
Yep.
just started to just become different for us, where it was kind of like, well, what do we do now? So everything got put on hold, and next thing I know, you're putting out this journal, which is called the Film Journal. So anyway, so not to like have you answer 5,000 questions right now, but tell us a little bit of what's been going on behind the scenes.
All right. So I created the film journal. Well, I started brainstorming the film journal Thanksgiving of 2020. I knew I wanted to get back because of course, everything was shut down. We were kind of out here in limbo, if you will. So I knew I still wanted to kind of still pursue something within the film industry. Um, and so I was going to start a YouTube channel where I was going to start, kind of talking about movies, but I knew I needed some kind of an angle, and I wanted to dig deep. It wasn't, I wanted to go further deep into the emotional perspective as to why we do love these movies that we watch, or maybe the emotional perspective as to why we didn't like it, or what did it make us feel, what did it trigger, what did it bring back from either a positive or negative or even a neutral perspective. So I started coming up with this template, and I was like, oh, this has to be a journal. Like, I would love to have this as a journal, something that everyone could have access to, where some people who like to verbally, or visually be out loud, if they want to share it, they can. And people who are a little bit more reserved, they can also, they could spend some time with themselves writing in these journals. So, started researching manufacturing companies and figuring out the template and what are the questions, what are the emotions I want identified on there. Finally, we went live May 1st. So pre-sale started May 1st. Sold so many copies. I was so grateful. And, shipment went out to all customers in July. And here we are in December, closing out 2021. I'm so grateful, so happy. Working on the social media, which, by the way, is at the Film Journal Official on Instagram and TikTok. The website is thefilmjournalofficial.com. So just to dig a little bit deeper into, what the journal is composed of. So the journal, it helps you identify your emotions and what you feel. Like, either you could fill it out as it's a checkbox with different emotions. So you can check them out while you're watching the movie or afterwards. It's up to you. You get to reflect in the next section. And by the way, just to go back a little, it's a prompted journal. So there's a section for you to reflect on why you felt the particular set of emotions that you felt. Then you get to, there's the section where you can write your opinion. You can either go technical with it. I love to write about, the cinematography or the soundtrack or the directing style or the acting style, or a combination of all, or just one or a few. It's, again, it's all up to you. It's your choice. Then you get to sort of write down, like your like what did the movie inspire you, or even TV shows or books. You can take it as you like. There will be other versions coming out, but we'll talk about that at the end. You can definitely, in the inspiration section, maybe there were certain quotes in the movie that you loved or that stood out for you? Songs, a particular song, or a soundtrack that really stood out for you, or maybe it inspired you to want to paint, like do a certain painting, or create your own story, or create your own song, or just something within that realm. It's pretty much a free spot. And then the last subject is where you identify, what you learned. So maybe there's something in the movie that a particular topic that you never thought about before. It's not within your normal world or your day to day. So when you saw it on screen, you're like, oh, like I learned something from this I never thought I would learn. So then that completes pretty much your entry for that movie that you just saw. So the journal has 50 journal entries, but technically there's about 52, 53. So there's a few more in there for surprise. Um, but yeah, you get to identify at the beginning of the journal. You have a cue list, so you can write down at least 50 movies that you want to watch, and you can also note down where you can stream it from, or if you have to rent it online, um, or have to go to the movie theaters to see it. It's up to you. And at the very end, the last page is really cute. There's this like nominate, you know what I mean? Like you nominate the movies that, stood out the most for you. So that's the film journal, pretty much wrapped up in a bow there. And I love it. I'm so excited for the beginning of its journey right now. Like we are about 6-7 months in, but it's still, of course, the beginning, and I'm so excited for what 2022 has in store for it, and for whoever it reaches out to.
So how did the journal work? So how would one, like you and I, when we're watching the movie, how does one basically fill out the journal?
All right, so you start off with your, film demographics, if you will, your title, date, the date of the entry, the year the movie was made, the genre, writer, director, cinematographer, who's starring, and then the official synopsis, which I usually do get off IMDb. I feel like that's, of course, probably the most legit source there. And then the next section I would write, or I would check off what I felt. So you have pretty much a word bank there. So I saw the movie West Side Story when it came out about 2 weeks ago. Loved the movie, and I was anticipating it for about 2 years or so. So the emotions that I was feeling, I checked off. Happy, sad, optimistic, cautious, full-hearted, excitement, love, annoyed. I felt proud, in awe. I felt sorrow, amused, frustration, and satisfaction. Um, the next section, I reflect on why I felt the list of emotions that I just gave, or that I had checked off in the word bank. And so let me just read off an excerpt here. So I wrote, I started off with the cute little song, the I Feel Pretty and Witty and Gay. I anticipated this film, and I felt every emotion I knew I would. As a hopeless romantic, I love the love Maria and Tony felt instantly. I mean, come on. We all love it. Um, my own story with my husband was love at first sight, so I definitely related to Maria and Tony during the sequence. I love that Maria was, she was a little fresh there with Tony at first. I thought it was, cute and fresh, but it's cute. And if this doesn't bother anyone, I'm just gonna go ahead and give a little a spoiler alert here. But Maria kisses Tony as soon as they met. But I thought it was cute. And so I said, continuing on, I spoke on how I was frustrated with the ridiculous beef between the Sharks and the Jets, but it is a remake of Romeo and Juliet. Continuing on into my opinion section, or into the opinion section, I wrote about how I felt satisfaction while watching the movie. I loved how Steven Spielberg was so careful and meticulous with recreating the original movie from 1961 and bringing it into 2021. um, full hearted. I love the relationship that Maria and Tony have. I love the relationship that Tony has in the new movie um, with Rita Moreno's character. The name just slipped out of my mind. Her character's name, but the relationship that they have together, where she does help him become a better person because he had gotten into previous trouble. The cinematography was A1. The lighting was perfect. I mean, we're talking about Spielberg here, and the cinematographer was Genesis Kreminsky. Excuse me for the mispronunciation, but it was so beautiful. The lighting, there was always a light flare in most of the shots, and I actually loved it. Usually people are annoyed by a light flare, but I think the way it was used in the movie was absolutely gorgeous. I also had my opinion in regards to stating the immigration, the struggle of the immigrant, right? So, and I'll read this. I understood the immigrant struggle with leaving the disappointment of their homeland and trying to fit into a new society where the main goal is to get ahead in life. My own family, I'm a first generation Dominican American. I understood completely where my parents came from, leaving a third world country and coming to America and still navigating how to fit in, but also becoming successful. I have my parents are very successful people with their own businesses who want to just go forward, and I truly value that, and I related with that in the movie. And then the last section is just what I learned. So, and I quote, this is what I wrote. You have to be cautious around a guy like Riff. He has absolutely nothing to lose and pretty much walks around with a death wish. And you could end up in the worst situation of all, hanging around a person like Riff. I also wrote down how I felt annoyed with the ridiculous idea of fighting over territory when you don't own shit. Like, you're fighting over turf and you don't own the neighborhood. Um, so that completely annoys me. And that's a thing that to this day we still see people fighting over territory and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's crazy. Um, but I did feel optimistic, and even though this movie does touch on the topics of racism, I still feel optimistic, as in people watching this, especially people today, with the remake, and saying, okay, there are a lot of things that aren't right. We need to change this. We need to make this better. We need to make society better. We need to make our neighborhoods better and welcoming. So I ended that. And then what I like to do too, to add some more of a touch, is I actually like to print out pictures, cut them out, and kind of paste them in the journal, like movie shots. Um, I also have the digital version of the film journal, which is also available for purchase. And I will just, pretty much copy and paste the pictures off of the internet, and I will paste them into the PDF version of the digital version of the film journal as well. So that's pretty much how you use this. And in the inspiration section, I mean, I love the song Tonight that Tony performs, and that's when he first, or sees Maria after the dance. I love that song. I love the idea of true love. I am a hopeless romantic. So I just absolutely love it. So my real life inspiration is the marriage that I have with my husband, because we were 100% a love at first sight, um, couple. We fell in love instantly. I mean, 2 weeks after we met, we knew we were getting married.
Right. And that's a better love story than what we see sometimes in the movies. you know,
Yeah.
so but no, that's a nice little breakdown. So in the end, Allie, is what what is the goal of this film journal? So like as I'm writing these entries in, and you said there's about 53 pages worth. So
Yeah.
what is the ending result of the journal? like what is the purpose of writing down this stuff? So basically, when you go back and you can learn like about more about yourself, is that the idea?
Absolutely. That's absolutely it. My main goal with this is, for me personally, and for many movie lovers out there, when we need that moment to kind of escape our reality, we love to watch movies, right? That's the whole point of escapism and movie watching is we want to escape the reality that we have, but we also have to be careful of staying in that fantasy land. You know what I mean? We have to be careful with that too. And so this journal kind of brings us back to where we are, right? Wherever we're sitting or wherever our feet is planted, brings us back and helps us understand, all right, well, I understand why I felt those emotions. I get why I felt those emotions. Um, some movies, this is a movie, of course, it's more of a fun movie, if you will. I mean, even though there are some tragic moments in it, but it's more of a fun movie. But there are other movies that really make us reflect on maybe even our own life choices, or we're watching a particular movie and maybe we were going through a really hard time during the time that we watched a movie from, let's say, 2 years ago. And when we write in our journal, we reflect back on that movie. Let's say, 2 years ago in the future, we read back and we say, oh man, I remember feeling this way while watching this particular movie. I remember where I was in that time in my life, either, super happy or maybe I was depressed. Maybe I was dealing with some issues. Um, and maybe giving even that movie a rewatch and maybe having a different perspective during that rewatch. So basically, to wrap that all up in a bow here. The main goal of this journal is to help you reflect on how you are feeling and why that movie triggered those emotions or why you related to those emotions, and then helping you understand where you can go forward from there. And then, later in the future, as we all, as most people who keep journals, I myself from personal experience, I go back and I read my own old journals and I think to myself, oh my God, I got through this. But I remember what I felt and I remember how to deal and the tools that I had to not go back to maybe feeling that low when I did feel that low, or remembering how to feel that like happiness that I had felt when I was feeling that happiness.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you, I mean, I don't know how much more we can really talk about this, Allie, but
No, it's fine.
you were, I mean, I think you just basically just gave us like the idea
Hmm.
perfectly by giving us that example. And
Yeah.
if I may say, from what you were trying to say, like as in going back and to remember, it's almost like your first reaction to that show, that movie, whatever you're writing down. And that way, you can like go back and re-experience through
Mhm.
what you were writing of exactly what you were saying, like everything that you felt the first time that you watched it, and why you love this movie or why you keep coming back because of the soundtrack or something about
Mm,
it, like something
ex-
happened to you.
Exactly.
Now you were sort of mentioning that you have other ideas besides the film journal. So um, are you able to talk a little bit about what you possibly want to do in the future?
So coming into the new year, I do want to, sometime during 2022, I do want to create a TV, so a television journal, and then I also want to create a book journal. So pretty much it'll have the same setup. There's going to be pretty much the demographics of it will change, and there might be an extra prompt or two. And so that way, if you're reading your favorite book, you can write about it. If you're reading or whatever books you're reading or whatever TV show you're watching. I've actually had a kid who asked me about doing video games, a video game journal. And I was like, that sounds awesome. I myself, I don't play video games. I used to when I was younger. But I thought that was actually pretty awesome. So that's something that we can probably look into at the end of the year and at the end of 2022 going into 2023. But that's those are some of the ones that I do have lined up for the, to cover all the media, right? All the different outlets of media that we that we do consume. And then yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're working into what new products are going to come out. Other right now the journal is in black and gold. I'm flirting with the idea of having other colors, so that way, or our my goal is to have other colors in 2022. So that way, if you finish a journal, you can purchase a different color. If you're getting the physical book, you can purchase a different color, and you can, create different volumes. Or if you want to do it by genre, certain colors can be a particular genre. So colors is pretty much what we're working on in 2022, and then adding on other media forms is also we're working on that for the end of 2022.
Very cool. And as for
Mm-hmm.
the color aspect, I was just thinking as you were saying that, like, you could almost do one for each of the seasons. Maybe you can do like a journal that for like the holiday films or holiday books. Just to
Yeah,
kind of make it all cool and stuff. I mean, that would
yeah,
be kind of cool to maybe see like a snowflake journal or something to the
yeah,
effect of like candy cane or something. It would be kind of cool now that I think
yep,
about that. But
yeah.
oh,
That's exactly what we're thinking of for next year.
oh, that's
Absolutely.
so yeah. See, I'm on board with this. It's kind of cool,
Yeah.
but maybe I might need a special request though. Maybe I might need blood splatter on the holiday one.
We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do.
It,
We'll try to
exactly,
combine. We'll see about maybe combining like Halloween and Christmas, because I mean, for me, those are my two favorite holidays. So, why
exactly.
not? Why not?
Exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So, Allie, well, thank you for your time again, and I appreciate you
Thank you.
sharing this very cool idea, the film journal. So, for the final outlet here, can you just state again of where you can find the film journal and how we can keep in touch with you through the film journal so we can learn more of what to come and everything else?
Absolutely. So the website is thefilmjournalofficial.com. And the social media handles, we are on TikTok and we are on Instagram. It is the Film Journal Official, or I'm sorry, at the Film Journal Official. So that way, there you can go on there. You can check out some of the pictures that have been posted, some of the videos that have been posted, as well. We are also working. A big thing in 2022 as well is to work on social media and having more examples and having more relativity, or relatability with the public, so that way everyone can go on there and they can see it. It's also I want it to also become a safe place. I want it to become a place where you can come, um and you can just observe, and you can see, you can give your own opinion. We can discuss about how you felt that, why you felt that. So, I definitely want people to be involved, ask questions, give their opinion. I love hearing from people who I don't know. I think that's always so fun, and can be so wonderful, as long as everyone's nice, because I don't tolerate disrespect and I don't tolerate any bashing on my pages. So as long as everyone is nice, we can totally have as many discussions about emotions and mental health and the movies that we love or the movies that we don't really like that much. We can discuss about it all. And also, I do want to add to, you know, in the future too, I want to become a filmmaker myself, and I also want people to also sort of appreciate the art that many directors and writers and cinematographers put out there, the actors. Maybe we're like, oh, we don't like that movie. We hate that movie. But also, you can not like it, but also let's try to appreciate what it does have. You know what I mean? So that's also something that I want to communicate to with the journal.
Well, I think you're definitely stepping in the right track, Allie, and I have to agree that disrespecting anybody is a big no-no, and yeah, I can't really tolerate that myself. But I mean, if you
Yeah.
can't have a nice conversation or at least a good debate on the topic at hand, then yeah, no, don't waste our
Yeah, right?
time.
Exactly.
All right, well, Ali, once again, thank you so much for your time. I know this was sort of like a last minute thing as we're
Yeah.
recording on the day of I asked you, but thank you so much, and I look forward to checking out your journal at some point because I want to definitely now get my hands on one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. No, thank you for having me. Yeah, like I was totally happy to, come and have a conversation and talk about it, talk about my baby. And thank you again so much for the support and the love. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And for everybody listening, thank you so much for joining the little audio about the film journal. And just like Ali has said, just if you guys go to the filmjournalofficial.com where you can get either a digital version or a hardcover journal wrapped in black fabric of
Hmm.
about 106 pages total to create about 50 journal entries. Go there, check it out, start writing down your journal or diary of your films and start learning more about yourself or favorite songs and everything else. So that way you can in the end, I guess, become a better person and to avoid bad decisions and maybe good decisions depending on what you want to write down. Unless it's dinosaurs, and then I don't know what to tell you about that. Have a good time with that. Fantasy. So, Ali, again, thank you again. Listeners, thank you again. And until next time, people, make sure you always uh, bring your book with you because you just never know what cool thing is going to jump out and you have to jot it down in your journal or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
and I was Podolsky, and just like we always say, stay scared.